So apparently the Halo television series has been canceled, and that was an announcement that was made the other day. And honestly, it's something that doesn't really surprise me because we got two seasons of the Halo television series on Paramount Plus, and for the most part, um, the television series got a polarized reception, mostly negative, because they feel like it was something that should have been better executed, and they feel like there were so many different routes that the directors could have went in terms of making the television series. There's so many books to base it off of, and so many games to adapt, but they didn't do that. They try to make it a standalone television series, and I feel like that's something that definitely hurt the quality of the show a lot. You look at the books; we've been getting Halo books since the 2000s for the most part. You had First Strike, which came out back in 2003, and then you look at the books that came out during the teens decade. You had Retribution, Halo Last Light. You've had Halo Renegades. The list goes on. Halo Ghosts of Onyx. There were so many books that they could have made adaptations of, but they didn't for whatever reason. So I feel like it's something that led to a disconnect with Halo fans. And honestly, I don't think it's something that really connected with casuals too much because the Halo series, its popularity had been rapidly declining since the early teens, ever since 343 Industries took over. Back when Bungie was, publishing the Halo series, like during the 2000s, Halo was white hot, and I believe some of the best games came out when Bungie still owned the IP, because to this day, people still have good things to say about Halo 3 and ODST and Halo 2 and Halo Reach. Those games are all classics, and I get the fact that the first person shooter genre was more popular back in the day. But, Halo, for the most part, is probably like one of the biggest first person shooter video game franchises out there. And I feel like the Halo series should be paving the way for other first person shooter franchises to become big and all that stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's been the case. The first person shooter genre has been declining in popularity throughout the teens decade for the most part, and you look at Halo Infinite, which came out back in 2021. That game for the most part was a failure. I remember it being heavily hyped before its release and all that, and then for whatever reason, they decided to cut a bunch of content, from Halo Infinite, and that concluded like Prometheans, wildlife, unused weapons, and it definitely detracted from the experience of Halo Infinite. And I believe that was like the last like major game that we got within the franchise. And I'm not even sure like whether or not 343 Industries could even like save the franchise at this point, because between the game being a failure and the TV series being canceled and it receiving a mainly like negative review by fans and by casuals, I'm not exactly sure what's next for the Halo series. But if we do get another Halo game, I do feel that like this next game needs to be a home run. Like for the most part, because a lot of people have lost like interest in the Halo series for a very long time, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Halo 4 was not, it wasn't bad. It's just that it wasn't as good as like the ones that Bungie had put out with Halo 3 and all that. Halo 5 Guardians was decent, but still, not on the same level as ODST or 3 or anything like that. But, we do know that 343 Industries is capable of making, good games and making a decent Halo game. But the thing is, I'm not exactly sure whether or not the interest is there, because the fact that the Halo TV series even lasted two seasons is a bit shocking, and the fact that there are people who had to pay for that on Paramount Plus is just like, what, was it really worth it? But but yeah, I mean, even though the Halo TV series has gotten canceled, I don't necessarily think that the franchise is dead or anything like that. Maybe it's one of those deals where it just needs to take a hiatus for a short period of time, and then I guess I guess like the time that it's absent or whatever, it's something that's going to want people to make a new game eventually over time. I mean, if 343 Industries have to skip a particular generation of gaming in order to revive interest within the Halo series, so be it. But the thing is, we shouldn't get anything rushed or uncompleted or a game that's unfinished and has like, cut content or anything like that, because people deserve better when it comes down to like video games and their gaming experience. Because it's bad enough that we have a bunch of video game developers trying to go out of their way to take money out of our pocket through microtransactions and stuff like that. All we ask for are decent video games for the most part. But like you look at video game or television adaptations of video games. A lot of times you get hits and misses for the most part. And I honestly feel like, the Halo television series was a miss. I mean, the Scott Pilgrim anime series that only lasted one season was way better than this, and it never got like renewed for another season. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if it's one of those deals um, where like video game or television adaptations of video game is starting to lose its appeal or allure or whatever. But like for the most part, I do feel like the Halo series isn't finished. I do feel like there's a way that 343 Industries can make the series popular again. I don't think it's going to be quite as popular as it was during the 2000s, but I do feel like with the right direction, they can create another game that can capture a lot of people's attention. It can draw in casuals and maybe, try to do something that will, bring back lapsed fans of the series, like with the inclusions of certain weapons or maybe bringing back certain characters. That's all up to them. But the Halo television series being canceled is something that's unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's something that had to be done.